Hello everyone, good morning. Thank you everyone. So welcome to the second session of the day, which is hosted by Pune chapter. It's a panel discussion on the topic of developing an agile mindset in the organization. We have a wonderful set of panelists today. We have Shashi, Devangi, Harold and Deep with us, along with Amya, who's going to be the moderator for the day. So before we begin the session, I would like to thank our founding sponsor, Innovation Roots. It is a leading consulting and training service provider helping organizations to achieve business agility and beyond. It is one of the leaders of pioneers of niche publishing services and well known for content collaboration with global thought leaders, authors, and creators. Please visit www.innovationroots.com to see their upcoming trainings and summits. Thank you. Next, I would like to thank our sponsor, Gile. So Gile is a product offering from Tata Consultancy Services Limited. It is a purely cloud-based agile enterprise agile planning tool along with DevOps capabilities. Enterprises can use Gile to adopt agile practices or scale across multiple Scrum and Kanban teams using enterprise scaling frameworks such as SAFe, Disciplined Agile, Less, and more. You can try out Gile for free up to 20 users for 1 year by signing up at gile.io, or you can reach out to us as well for any inquiries or exclusive product demo. You can also check out the Gile page on Agile Network India website for more information. Thank you. And now I would like to pass on the mic to the moderator of today's session, Amya. Amya, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prakash. And thank you, ANI, for giving us this opportunity to present our thoughts today on this topic of developing an agile mindset. So my name is Ameya Naik, and I will be your moderator for today's discussion. This topic is not really new for any of us, I'm pretty sure. We hear this term agile mindset a lot. It is what everyone believes makes for a thriving workplace. However, most working professionals that I have interacted with also rue the lack of such a culture. So they are longing for it. So today, this discussion is going to be about what is this agile mindset and what are its characteristics? How do we develop it? And we have a fantastic panel today, a very esteemed and diverse panel who is going to educate us about some of these topics. So we have, first of all, with us Shashi Prabha Singh, who is an agile transformation leader and a senior director at WNS. Thank you, Shashi, for joining us. We have Devangi Kamra, who is the director of HR at HelpShift. She's been a people person for more than 2 decades. Thanks, Devangi, for joining us. We also have Harold Fernandez, who is an agile transformation coach and also a mindfulness coach. And it'll be wonderful to interact with you, Harold. Thanks so much for joining us. And we also have with us Deep Shah, who is the founder and CTO at Makajai. And Makajai is an educational gaming startup. And thank you so much, Deep, for spending your time with us and joining us today. So I hope this discussion is going to be very, very interesting for everyone. Thanks to all the audience for joining us. We know it is difficult times today in the world, especially in our country, and we are all cognizant of that, aware of that. And at the same time, we want to do some discussions which are in a positive direction. And I think personally that this particular topic of an agile mindset is also required in these times, which are very, very difficult for our country. But let me get started by first asking a very simple question to our panelists. And we'll start with Shashi first. Shashi, what, according to you, is an agile mindset? And have you come across an agile mindset in your experience, in your rich career so far? Are there any stories, are there any examples that come to your mind when this word agile mindset is asked, or when this question agile mindset is asked? So over to you, Shashi.
Hello, everyone, and hope everyone is safe and sound. And I'm Shashi. Amir has already talked a little bit about me, and I don't want to take much time. I'm currently based out of Pune, driving agile transformation for a BPM organization, WNS. I have a lot of passion towards agile way of working. Almost a decade of change transformation activities I have been involved in with, and currently I'm also quite passionate about driving the digital transformation basis the new age technologies. So in brief, this is my introduction. So thank you, Amia, for providing this opportunity, and ANI. Coming back to your question, agile mindset is definitely a need of the hour. And I feel agile mindset enables us to navigate through the uncertainties, unknown uncertainties, I would say, more efficiently. In today's era, when things are so much unknown, so unpredictable, so ambiguous, it's really needed that we go with this mindset, and that's what it enables with. I have come across multiple stories on agile mindset throughout my career so far. The most recent one and most relevant one I would kind of like to mention to the audience here is the just a year back when we all entered into the lockdown and COVID-19 was declared as pandemic, right? So that was a time when we as an organization were like moving all the workforce from current working from office to working from home was the biggest challenge in front of us. So we took the agile way in this regard, and then created a core team with about 2 weeks of sprint cycle, and ensured that uh, we are ready to move all our hardwares, and along with the required support system to the respective houses of individual employees. So this was not only logistical challenge for us. At the same time, we had a lot of compliance and regulatory, challenges in front of us. And in this regard, we worked as a team. We really had, I think, to redefine the overall business model in a quick short time. We had to also create a new type of team structure. We were able to cope up with this kind of requirement from the market which was coming up, and at the same time we kept the lights on for our critical businesses throughout the global, and for that WNS was even mentioned in the Fortune 500 stories. So with this, I think the overall mindset enables us to create that collaborative culture, and the transparency we brought in by embracing agile practices actually helped us to navigate through, and within 2 weeks timeline we were able to move from 100% work from office to 100% work from home. So that's a story I would like to share, Amia and team. Thank you.
Thank you, Shashi. Thank you so much. I mean, I can imagine that must have been very tough. In the pandemic, moving everybody to work from home and doing operational agile. It's not so easy as you might think. So fantastic. Thanks so much, Shashi. I would like to ask the same question to Devangi. Devangi, what do you think is agile mindset? You are a people person. You've been a people person for more than 2 decades, I know. So what, according to you, is agile mindset? And is there a story, or is there a example or an instance that you remember from your rich career about somebody demonstrating this agile mindset?
Thank you, Amaya. Thank you, ANI, for having us this morning, and everybody, thank you for taking out time this weekend to spend with us. I hope everybody's keeping safe at home and looking after themselves. To me, Amaya, an agile mindset is actually a mindset which is open and quick for change, with people at the center of it and empathy at the roots of it. So any mindset which actually looks after their people, I think that's agile enough, in my opinion. One story which actually comes to my mind is about this gentleman who had joined one of my organizations where I worked, where he was actually a very bright, innovative young man who was from the QA background, and after a few years of doing QAing, he showed interest in delivery. And in a traditional firm, you'd probably have been pushed around or maybe made to go through interviews and approval processes and everything. But what we did was we made it really simple. We made him pair with another delivery lead for a few months, and then when he was confident that he can now take it on, he actually became a delivery lead. And it didn't just stop there. After a few projects, he actually realized that he wanted to understand how people work and how the mindset of people work. So he spent time with me for about 6 months, partnering with me on all the initiatives and the projects that I had taken up in PeopleOps. And then he moved on and used a lot of those learnings while delivering those projects as well. So for me, this is a great example of how agile an organization can be to a person's needs as well.
Awesome. So thanks so much, Devangi, for sharing that story with us. And I can also imagine that for this person to be able to transform within multiple roles, it must have also been the environment created by the organization that was
Absolutely.
responsible. And I'm
Absolutely.
sure we'll touch upon this topic going forward. But thanks so much, Devangi and Shashi. I mean, you've given us a few key pointers towards what is agile mindset. And Shashi, you said it is the ability to navigate through the unknowns and uncertainties, I think, which was very important for me. The collaborativeness that comes with it, the transparency that the organization shows collectively. And Devangi, you mentioned about the openness, the flexibility to change, and the ability to accept changing scenarios and respond to it. So fantastic. Thanks so much. I would now like to go to the other panelists, and I'm going to tweak the question a little bit. I do definitely want to hear your experiences, Harold and Deep, and your stories if you have any. That will be wonderful. But Devangi and Shashi have told us what are the what is agile mindset. Are there any specific 2 or 3 characteristics or kind of attributes that you can think of from an organization perspective that that you think enable this agile mindset? So we'll start with Harold. Harold, what do you think are the characteristics that an organization should have to kind of promote this agile mindset? And have you seen this? Have you seen this in an organization? Have you seen this in a team? Have you seen this in people? I know you coach people. You're also a mindfulness coach. So I'm looking forward to hearing some of your stories.
Thank you, Amir. That's a fantastic question, and absolutely right. So, in my opinion, there's a significant list, but I'm going to just talk about 2 key points that I believe are important as an agile mindset for an organization. I believe that the first one is the ability to learn continuously and experiment. I believe that's one of the biggest factors for success when it comes to agile in an organization. Just to give an example, the way Google and Apple come up with new products and new offerings, some of them succeed, some of them fail, but they're always innovating, they're always coming up with something new. And the second factor, in my opinion, is that of the long-term perspective. I get it, publicly listed companies have to think about quarterly results, and that sword is always hanging on people's heads. But the fact is that those businesses that can look beyond that are the ones that grow, are the ones that survive, are the ones that thrive. I remember a time about 7 or 8 years back while I was working in an organization, something crazy was happening. It was one of those multinationals where the hiring window would open up for 2 weeks and then close it. So there would be these emails coming through the organization. Okay, hiring is open. 2 weeks, hiring is closed. We wait for another, 3 weeks, hiring is open again for 1.5 weeks and it's closed. And all the managers, all of us guys, we are desperately in need of people, and everybody's pulling their hair like, how on earth are we going to deal with this? And the Pune site lead for that organization set up a meeting with the entire team and said, guys, this is the new normal and here's how to deal with it. And we discussed, we came up with a strategy as a group, and the idea basically became pipeline everything. Continue, don't hesitate, don't worry that the window is now open or closed. You keep your hiring pipeline absolutely ready, do everything recs and keep it all ready. The moment the window is open, push all your requisitions through and so on. It went from a massively negative, like a very crazy kind of mindset to absolutely positive. So personally, in my opinion, this is one of the the best examples that I could ever imagine about how an organization can be agile. But that's not the only thing. Even if you take a look at, like, in March of 2020 last year, when it was very clear the pandemic is on, like the bellwether or the canary in the coal mine for all organizations, how did your organization respond? How quickly, like Shashi was mentioning, in 2 weeks they went from work from office to work from home. So I'm just saying, that's like a sign whether your organization was able to be agile or not. So these are the couple of things that I wanted to share. Over to you, Amaya. Thanks.
Super. Thank you so much, Harold. I think you mentioned this learning continuously, the long-term vision. And I also like that, like the story that you mentioned, as you kept doing the same thing. So the behaviors were the same, so to say, but the way of looking at things changed, and that changed from the whole environment from being negative to positive. So I think fantastic story, and I'm going to come back to you as to how did you do that? How did you change people's mindset, so to say? And how do we do this over and over again? How do we do it at an organization level? Okay, so fantastic. Thanks so much, Harold, once again. Deep, I want to come to you with a similar question. I know you you have worked in many organizations. You worked in startups. You worked in large organizations. Now you are heading your own organizations. You are creating this organization. So, what are the characteristics that you
Right.
care for? What are the characteristics that you care for when you hire people, when you sort of talk to your people? What do you demonstrate as a leader in your organization? And have you actually learned from anybody, either in the organization or from other organizations? Are there any stories that you want to replicate or you want to sort of propagate? So over to you, Deep.
Right. So first of all, thank you for having me. It's not very easy to spare like an hour on Saturday morning to hear 5 people talk and blabber about agile. So kudos to the audience and the organizers. Um, so according to me, right, a lot of good points are already covered. Like, what is agile mindset? What are the characteristics? But one in particular that I want to highlight is the openness to change. Like, how open is the organization to constantly changing market conditions? Like, it is extremely important for the survival of the organization in that case. So, you asked for, have you gone through any of like a story or anything? So, I'm being very selfish and I'm going to talk about the story that my company Makajai went through. So what happened was in 2014 we founded this, and at that time two of us were like founders of Makajai were in different cities, and all our employees were all spread around the country. So we decided that there is no real reason for us to be co-located. So we decided we'll be a remote organization and continue working that way. Few years went by, and in 2018, there was a point when if we did not co-locate, we will not be able to run the business. Like the business conditions changed, and we had to sort of take this call. So then at that time, without thinking like how we'll manage, we are a small company, so there are no relocation budgets and this and that. So without thinking about how we'll manage everything and disrupt people's life, we decided to co-locate in favor to run the business successfully, right? Otherwise, the other option was going bankrupt, which was not what we intended to do. So we co-located. We were getting used to working from the office and everything, and we were finding it a little difficult, but then we were getting used to it. And then in March 2020, COVID happened. At that time, right, when there was just one case in Pune, we decided that it is safe for everyone to just go back home, work from there, and then we'll figure out how to grow this organization. So we decided everyone has to go home, and we made our company a remote company. So this is what, according to me, is like going from co-located space to like a remote working space, and starting from co-location, starting from remote, being co-located, again being remote. That, according to me, is like a factor that shows that we are open to change, and that is one of the most important thing when it comes to agile mindset. I think that helped us survive as a company.
Wow.
So what do you, Amaya?
Thank you, Deep, and quite a journey, that you described in the last 5 years or 7 years that you guys went through, and I'm wondering whether how did you manage to convince your employees to first co-locate when they were remote? So everybody had to change disrupt their lives, had to be open to this change, come to one particular city, and I know because I've been speaking with you a little earlier that your other co-founder also co-located when you took that decision
Right.
to co-locate. And now suddenly,
Right.
there was a situation worldwide and you had to make this decision to sort of go remote. And I know worldwide now, everybody, all this audience that we have, everybody is working from home today. Some of us want to go back to offices, some of us enjoy working from home. So everybody is different. And it is fantastic to hear your story. It is fantastic to also know that your organization has succeeded in making these difficult decisions at times. But after all, I think there's individuals who also have to sort of agree to this decision. So how do you do that? And I'll come to that larger question about all the individuals in the organization. But I'm sure that each one of us now, listening to the panelists is also thinking, do I have an agile mindset? You guys spoke about these wonderful characteristics, these wonderful traits, openness to change, long-term flexibility. So how do you cultivate that? So I want to ask Devangi over here as a people person. I know, Devangi, you've done recruitments. So what do you look for in a person, and how do you sort of make sure that he is the right fit for the organization? And taking it a little bit at a higher level, how do you know that a person has an agile mindset? I mean, we know all the characteristics, we spoke about it, but is it really easy for all these characteristics to come out in a short interview, or even if it is a long interview, 2 hours, 3 hours? How do you really look for it as a recruiter, and even as a even somebody like Deep, Harold, Shashi? You guys are senior folks, you are doing a lot of interviews. What do you look for in people? So let's start with Devang.
So according to me, it's pretty easy to look for these things. There's something that I read a while ago, which actually said that it's never a resume which talks, but it's always the people who do. So what I normally suggest, and I follow as well very strictly, is unlike traditional firms where you pay attention to what degree the person holds or how many years of experience the person holds for a particular role or position, you need to look beyond that and pay attention to the attitude, the values, or the behaviors that people bring to their table. And you just make sure that you're asking the right kind of questions, the right kind of making them comfortable to be able to bring out their real selves to the interview, which is more important.
Can you give a couple of examples as to what is, I mean, as a technical person, I've been a technical person all my life. I mean, I ask technical questions, I ask skill-based questions. So are they not enough? I mean, are skills not enough? And you're saying that I need to now somehow ask them, I don't know, will you move cities if I decide to move tomorrow or whatever? So how do you ask this question? There's a couple of examples.
Well, that's not a bad question at all, Amaya, to begin with. But I'm not saying that skills are not important. Skills are obviously important at what we are looking at, but we need to go a little more holistic as well. So what we would do is we would spend time with the technical panels to make them understand how they can embed some of these questions while they are asking the skill-based questions as well. So they can be questions about, things that will try to find out if they've got the go-get-it attitude, if they've got the ability to embrace change, if they've got the ability to embrace ambiguity, and also probably look at how they've been able to embrace their own failures and mistakes and then learn from that as well.
Fantastic. How do you, I don't want to talk about my failures when I'm in an interview. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
so how do you encourage me to do that? I mean, I'm just trying to understand so that I can be better at my interviews.
Okay, the one way to do it would be that in the conversation, if you come across any circumstance which resonates with you where you may have failed yourself. For example, one of the commonest things that happens is that one of the interviewers lands up late for the interview. So you start off by first accepting that, I'm sorry, that is a mistake. I respect your time. I appreciate that you took the time out and waited for me, which probably gives a little bit of a feeling of it's all right to make mistakes, and two, I'm apologizing for that. Also, during the course of interview, if you come across an anecdote that the person is narrating and it recalls something that you've done in the past, maybe be open about it and say that I tried this but I failed at this, so how would you do it differently, or something like that. So basically make them comfortable enough to come out and talk that it's all right to make mistakes as far as you learn from them.
Awesome. I think the point that you're making is, the qualities that you are looking for, I think if you demonstrate them, then
Exactly.
there is a good chance that you will be able to see if the candidates also have those qualities. So great. So Deep, I want to come to you and see, you must have done a lot of recruitment over these years, remote and co-located and whatever. So what do you look for when you do recruitment? I mean, and I also know that you are a CTO, you are a technical guy right from the beginning. I've worked with you a little bit. So do you agree with Devangi that you have to look for more than skills? Because after all, you want people to create your mobile games, test them, and deliver them as fast as possible. I mean, what do you care about, if a person how he thinks, how he responds to some vague situations like COVID. I'm just making this up, but I know the importance of those things. But I want to ask you, Deep, do you also give that much of importance as a CTO?
Right. So I I think Devangi has made brilliant points, and I agree with her and on a lot of them, but I disagree with her on one of them. Like when she said that it is very easy if you think about it. It is not at all easy. Like, it is, believe me, like we end up spending like 8 to 9 hours per candidate, like going through the whole process. That this is beyond the time that candidate themselves has spent. Like, okay, we send them a online test, they do it, that is additional work. But when they clear all that, we invite them to office, and now there is no office, but then we try to spend 9 hours with the candidate, like between different interviews, trying to figure out what are they going through, like what are the things that they value about, like this amount of time when we spend, they become a little bit comfortable, they talk about themselves, then we get like it is like spending a day in life of the candidate and letting them spend a day in life of us, so that we can figure out whether we are a good fit for each other. Otherwise what happens is they might excel at some company where they are a good fit in that culture, but they might not be a good fit in our culture. So this is how I think we try to overcome this situation. And I totally agree with Devangi where she said you have to look beyond the skills. Skills are totally overrated. Skills can be learned, but values are something that are that are something that you are born with, or something that you cultivate over the years, and that are very difficult to change. So I think we should look for values than skills.
Wow, wow. Okay, fantastic. Thanks, Deep. I would also like to ask our audience to put their questions on the chat if they have, because when you said that you want your candidates to spend 9 hours with you beyond the tests and all the coding assignments that you give them, I mean, if I'm applying, I'll think many times, because I will probably apply to many companies, and each company, if I have to spend 9-10 hours, then it's a little bit tough, don't you think so?
Right. It also shows us how invested the candidate is in our company itself, right? Otherwise, they are just applying just like a normal company, so it doesn't help us.
Yeah, in today's market, I
Sometimes you
think.
get candidates who says that we don't even know you about your company. So, so it's
Yeah,
important.
absolutely. Wow,
Yeah,
great points,
sorry.
though, Deep. Thanks so much. I want to come to you, Shashi. I know you must have faced a lot of challenges when you moved from a software organization to a not so software organization. So what are the challenges or differences that you see in sort of cultivating this agile mindset in these two different types of organizations? And in general, if you can also talk about what are the challenges of for an organization to cultivate this kind of a mindset in their people?
Yeah, very nice question and very relevant, Amya. Uh, I'm a firm believer of agile being agnostic of any industry or any domain or any particular stream. So being a part of large organizations, IT organizations like TCS, Capgemini for almost 10, 15 years, it was not easy to look for something for non-IT organization like BPM organization. Like WNS is one of the largest BPM organization, right? So, but still with my own conviction, I just took this as a challenge for me. And it has really been a great journey in last 15 months in terms of driving transformation in the organizations. The top challenges, which is not only from the current organization perspective, but my experience throughout perspective, I would like to highlight is the leadership commitment is the topmost point, which actually comes forward in case you are really driving any change. Forget about just agile transformation, which involves people, process, mindset altogether, right? For any change initiative in the organization, what is the most important is that leadership commitment and communication from top down to bottom up to right to left is required, horizontal, vertical. And we need to align our people to the North Star or the vision which we are trying to achieve through this transformation. That's a key and critical to this transformation journey. The second one is that breaking the internal silos in the organization. So you must agree that it's be it IT, non-IT, or any manufacturing company, there are internal silos which does exist, right? So breaking those internal silos, making that comfortable feeling for the teams to collaborate, not only coordinate, right? There's a difference between coordination versus collaboration. So bringing collaboration among team to work towards one particular vision is the key, another key challenge which I have faced in most of the organization. Is not only one or two, right? The third one is that people's resistance to change, which is like people don't want to come out of their comfort zone. The first question that why should I embrace this change? So that becomes it's our job in order to ensure that we educate people, we make them comfortable, understand their challenges, listen to them rather just hearing to them, right? And then make them aware about the change and the need of the hour. So that these are the top challenges, and we have come across these challenges in the current organization also, and we are trying to overcome one by one by bringing a lot of education, connecting with the people, collaborating with the different stakeholders, ensuring that everyone understand what's in for me, and then taking this forward. So that's the important aspect of bringing any change management, Ameya.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thanks so much, Shashi. I like your last point when you said, we need to share the vision with people and listen to them and make sure that they really understand this by communication and both horizontal and vertical. So great, great, great points. Thank you so much. I want to come to you, Harold. And I know, Harold, you're a coach. So you talk to a lot of organizations, you work with a lot of teams. So when we say agile culture or agile mindset, for a team or for an organization, is it just the sum of the parts of each individual showing agile mindset? Or and my other question is agile only for teams? What about management? What about the leadership? And are there any tools or practices for the leadership? I mean, I know Shashi mentioned about listening and sharing the vision, but beyond that, what should the leadership do to sort of cultivate this agile culture? And is it just the sum of parts, or is it something more than that? Harold.
Fantastic question, Ameya. Thanks for this. So in a very interesting way, it is absolutely the sum of the parts. It is top down and bottom up. And the fact is that for an organization to succeed, you need each part to function as best as it can, but you need the whole to be coherent and cohesive as well. And in my opinion, there is one factor which trumps all, and I think Shashi also touched upon it. That is the organization's culture. So if you look at the organization's culture, is the organization as a whole, starting from the top, are the leaders walking the talk? So in a startup like Deep, if he doesn't walk the talk, he doesn't survive. But in many of the large, well-established organizations, even the CEO is just an employee. He's just drawing a salary and going home, right? So at that point, it is actually a decision that is made. So leadership walking the talk, organizational culture. For example, does the organization have a culture of learning? If someone, while learning, makes a mistake, is that okay? Or is the organization culture that we will hammer the guys who make a mistake? We give lip service to something, but in practice we do something else, right? So whenever there's a dichotomy between these two, so in my opinion, culture is the one thing that matters. And culture is something, again, I'm sure Devangi and Shashi and Deep will also agree that very, very hard, not just to define, but to inculcate. So to begin with, you have to embody those values, right? The leadership has to embody those values, and they have to be the ones to lead literally in terms of culture. So in my opinion, that's the key aspect. Now, when it comes to methodologies, there are many. Like I personally am familiar with the Lean Startup by Eric Ries. That's a whole formalization of the startup method. Again, I'm sure Deep is also familiar with that. There are other techniques like the Toyota way. There is also something called the theory of constraint, which I'm not sure you're familiar. Professor Eliyahu, Dr. Eliyahu Goldratt proposed the 5 focusing steps and so on. So I have personally used these techniques with organizations, personally worked with these, but the key difference I've always noticed is the culture emanating from the leadership in the organization. Everything else comes second. I hope that makes some sense. Over to you, Amit.
It does. Thanks so much, Harold. So I think the leadership has to really demonstrate that they care and they are themselves agile. And I think you also said that it is a sum of parts, but it also is, it's bottom up, it's top down, both. I know that people, when they talk about agile or when they think about agile, and agile has been taught in this fashion that it is about a team. So everything is about the team's goals, the team's the metrics, and the team's demonstrations, the review meetings, and everything is about a team. It's not about an individual. But I also know that all organizations today still have a performance appraisal which is very individualistic, right? So the focus of the performance appraisal is what were your achievements as an individual, what new learnings that you did, versus this culture that we want to build as an organization, which is about a collective ownership of something, which is about succeeding as a team, which is about that one goal, that one big picture that everybody should know about and everybody working towards that. It's like, in a cricket team, not everybody can be a opening batsman. Somebody has to come at number 5 and number 6 and only play 10 balls but still score 30 runs, I mean, if possible. So how do you really appreciate, or how do you appraise somebody in an agile organization? So Devangi, I want to ask you, is the industry really doing that? And are we being fair to people when they try to be agile, when they try to help the team, but they might miss out on some of their individual aspirations or even goals or some of the objectives? Are we cognizant of that as an organization? So, over to you, Devangi.
Great question, Amaya. And I'm going to start by being honest over here. Has the industry figured out? No. Is there still a challenge? Yes, a huge one, in fact, because we always, even if there is appreciation, even if there is recognition that somebody has gone above and beyond, and just while doing even team things, I mean, while you are paying attention to the team, is anybody going above and beyond? Even if you recognize it, eventually when it comes to ratings or giving increments, it's still a huge challenge. Can we do something about it? Of course, we can do something about it. Maybe make your goals and make your, the way ahead more team focused than an individual focused. So OKRs is a great system which is in place, which a lot of companies are now following, so that it's not just your individual efforts, but they connect into a team's, then a department's, and then to an organization's goals as well. So that's another fantastic way to actually set goals for people. Another thing is that maybe you shift from the whole hero culture to a team culture by setting down goals like how you can mentor, put down in their goals for the next whatever is the period of appraisal, let's say 6 months, just to be on the safe side. So put down things like mentor 3 freshers who join your organization, whichever team they belong to, or start a pair programming with another team which is in need, some project which is just started, and if you got somebody who's a little more seasoned in your organization, they can pair program with that new team. Or even something that you've learned. I picked up Kafka in these last 6 months, so take a session for the entire organization, so that you are encouraging people to learn as well. Which also brings me to this point. My husband is a huge follower of football, and since you mentioned cricket, Amaya, I'm going to bring in football over here. That football is essentially a team sport, right? I mean, so at the end of the day, whether the team wins or loses, the entire team has put in all the efforts. However, at the end of the day, you will still have one person who is declared the person of the match, right? So what did they do? Even if the whole team won the match, they probably did something which was a little extra, which got them closer to the win. Similarly, when we are appraising people, we can look at how did somebody go above and beyond what was expected from their day-to-day, from their expected BAU. Things like, did they do some automation? Did they build some tool? Did they optimize some code? Or did they just see somebody, and this is my favorite one, and I've seen this happen in a good agile environment, is did they see somebody from another team who was struggling and actually reached out and helped them? For me, that is something which would be doing above and beyond what is expected. And just like in your football, your persons of the match keep changing with every match. It's never one person who gets it. Similarly, when we are praising people also, we can recognize people who are going above and beyond their call of what they need to do. Yeah, I hope that helps, Amaya.
Absolutely, it definitely helped me. Fantastic points about OKRs, pair programming, one of my favorites. I heard, I know there's a couple of companies who exclusively only work in pairs, and they have increased their efficiency by more than 50% by just doing that, because people tend to think that pair programming you're spending double the time to do the same thing, but it is actually they're spending half the time to do the same thing. So so great examples, Devangi, great stories. Thank you so much for your time. I want to quickly ask one last question, and I'll probably we just have about 45 seconds to 1 minute for this question, but I think it's important, and then we have some fantastic questions by the audience which I want to go to. So Shashi, I want to ask you, you are working in a large organization today. You're working also in an organization which is slightly different from most of the software organizations, how they work. And I want to ask you, have you noticed any differences in the way this mindset is fostered or is developed in a BPM organization like you're working versus an IT organization? So are there any similarities? Are there any differences? What would you like to point out in this?
Very nice question, Amya. My experience has shown so far there is more similarity than actually differences. Individuals or humans are same everywhere, right? So the resistance to change is always there. However, having said that, working with operations teams which are very comfortable working in their SOP-driven world, right? The BAU is defined, everything is working, daily targets are met. It's not easy to bring any kind of change. But if you go with agile mindset, that the continuous improvement is the mantra there, right? So that's the approach we have taken for our operations teams, and we have given them a more contextualized version where we are enabling them to bring more transparency, more and more collaboration, helping them to come up with their ideas on a regular basis. They are finding it like they are able to connect with their teams in the distributed model where we are working today, right? Not even in just virtual, it's like completely distributed teams. So they're finding a platform where they can collaborate and they can share their mind and heart and office work, definitely. So definitely there's not big difference I have seen from IT versus operations, but rather the approach which we have taken is more, which is, I would say, contextualized to the operations rather than the IT version of it. That's where I think the difference has been brought in. But it has been really working so well for us, and people are coming forward. They are excited about embracing agile for themselves, because as an organization we are moving towards a digital transformation area, right? So a lot more new opportunities are coming up where teams are able to align themselves, they're able to appreciate why agile is the need of the hour. So in the interest of time, I'd like to stop here because I can see the windows getting full with the questions, Amya.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much, Shashi. So I think what you're trying to say is that humans are same everywhere. We just need to provide them a platform to collaborate. And last word to you, Deep, just to conclude. For a startup, is it the same? Are the humans the same in startup, or are they a little different?
I hope he's hiding from the earth only.
Right. So in startup, humans have two horns. I hope you can see them here. But basically, 99% of small businesses are, there is no choice but to be agile by default. Like there is really, if you think about it, right, they might not use the terms of being agile, but they are agile. If you think about like that grocery shop near the corner of your street, what happened to them when COVID hit them? Like in March, suddenly there was a lockdown, but did they keep the shop closed? Like they just mocked themselves overnight. They changed their operations and they were able to adapt to uncertainty. So this is the characteristics of a small organization. They are they are agile by default, and there is no other way but to be agile. Like so I have this favorite phrase, like if they are not agile, they are a dinosaur. And if what happened to the dinosaurs, right? So if that is not what you want for your business, then you have to be agile if you are a small organization.
Awesome. Great points. Thanks so much, Deep, and a great example of the Kirana shops. And I think each one of us individuals are the smallest organization in itself. So, and we are a startup, and we are always, trying to improve. So we also need to be. I can conclude from your point, Deep, that we don't want to be dinosaurs. We want to inculcate the agile mindset and make sure that we keep thriving. So on that point, we'll formally we'll conclude the formal questions that I had, but we have some fantastic questions lined up by the audience. So thanks so much to the audience. I'm gonna just quickly take the questions of the audience now. All right. First question that I see over here is from Priyank, and Priyank asks, what to do or how to help in a situation when we fail to change someone's mindset. Wow, brilliant question. And I'm inclined to go towards Devangi as a people person. You must be getting these complaints, right? I mean, my team member, he doesn't have the right mindset. What do you do as an HR, as a people person, as a leader? What is the advice that you give them?
Well, first of all, I would question the recruiting that was done. Like, why weren't these things taken care of when the recruitment was actually going on? But having moved on from there, I would probably still like to spend time with that person to, I believe in this golden circle. So you start with the why, and then you go to the how, and then you go to the what. So if you have somebody who's resisting the mindset as such or not being able to accept it, maybe make them understand the purpose behind why we are the way we are, and then go down into what kind of values are required and why are they helpful to have that kind of a mindset. And at the end of the day, if after all these efforts we're still not able to change the mindset, it's probably the best to accept that they would probably be better suited in some other organization and not yours, and
Right.
and probably fail fast is what I would advise.
Awesome.
Right.
I think that acceptance has to be there
So-
on both the
Exactly.
sides.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Go ahead, Deep. You wanted to add something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add one little thing to it. There are two ways to handle it. Like one way which Devangi said is like demonstrate patience and figure out like if you can help the person, and the second way is fire them. So that is the easy way. But that is not the right way to begin with.
Right way.
It's essential to be it is essential to be patient and figure out where we went wrong so that you can fix it for the long term.
See,
Great.
my experience, Amir, usually people try to resist the change when they are apprehensive about it. They have some fear in it, right? So that's where we always talk about agile as a coaching ability. It's not about just training one time or telling or saying something to someone, right? So you need to bring that coaching aspect of it and be vulnerable to that person. That, as we said, right, that has to open up only when you are open to that person. So that kind of things have helped in past when we are really connected with the people. So that can be one of the approach scenario, Priya.
Cool. Thanks, Shashi. Thanks. You guys are all very nice people, but I have a question over here, which I'm going to ask Harold. That how do you influence managers who know Agile, who probably know the theory, but they are not ready to be Agile? So they're not so nice people as you guys are. So as a coach, Harold, what do you do?
So that's an excellent question, Amey. And to be honest, it is a challenge. There's no doubt. My first approach is to understand what is the motivation of this person as a whole. Like what is driving someone to come every morning, either at their laptop now, but once upon a time, get up and dress up and go to office. So basically, what makes this person tick? And traditionally, my approach has been to figure out a way to align the values of Agile to map to what is motivating this person. And I've noticed that. So I'll give an example. What do I mean by what is? There are some folks who want to come and they want to shine at what they do. Like, I want to accomplish something. Someone says, I want to be in the background because that's their leadership style, that's their coaching style. I want my team to flourish. Somebody comes with a problem and says, you know what, our projects are not on time. My projects are not on time. We are failing. We are going over budget. We are going. So by having conversations and asking a lot of questions, you get some sense of what is motivating a person, and according to that, molding a response. So, for example, projects are over time. We are slipping, or we are going way over budget. So then the question is, we have a discussion about, can Agile or can these methods, either the traditional Scrum, Kanban, or whatever mentioned, or even the other methods of build, measure, learn, lean startup, can they help to solve this problem? So if the motivation is right, and there is a way for me to position the fit, I've seen that it does wonders. I'm not claiming that it happens every time. Sometimes the motivations are different, right? So at that time it doesn't work, and you have to figure out other ways to do this.
Thank you, Harold, so much for that insight, and thanks, Padmavati, for that question. I will take just one last question. I know there's a lot of questions, but guys, I'm so sorry that I cannot take everyone's questions. Please feel free to connect with our panelists on LinkedIn, and we can have a nice discussion over there. On the LinkedIn post that ANI has, we can also have a discussion over there. So I will take one last question, and Hari Deshmukh, he's given some of his thoughts. He says, Agile has multiple, oops, sorry, somehow I lost that. Agile has multiple frameworks like Scrum, Kanban, etc. But we see that majority of companies or teams follow a hybrid mix of all of these frameworks, right? So for me, it feels like they can do the work according to their requirements. So anything kuch bhi chalta hai, not really being agile there. What are your thoughts about it? And we'll start with Deep this time. What are your thoughts, Deep?
I sort of feel that is exactly agile, isn't it? Like, you're tweaking the thing. Like, agile is not like a theory that you have to implement in your company to get the job done, right? It is something that you take, you adapt to your situation, and then work. Like, it is like, see, if waterfall is working for you, great. Maybe that is the right thing. But if agile is something you want to be open to change, and you think that, okay, some parts of Scrum, some parts of Kanban, I'll mix and match and create something of my own, great. That is the right thing to do. Like, that is agile. Being agile is that, like, changing, adapting to your situation and making the most out of it.
Right. So like you said, Deep, I think
like
Agile is not about Scrum, Kanban. It is more about the principles behind Scrum and Kanban, which is responding to change fast, which is sustainable development, motivated teams, self-organized teams, and
exactly.
all those kind of things. So fantastic, great. Thank you so much. I would like to thank the audience immensely for being very good listeners. You have been very agile. You've demonstrated agile mindset. You've asked so many questions. And thanks so much to all the panelists for bringing their stories, bringing their passion, and just making this a wonderful 50 minutes that we've spent. I'm sorry, Prakash, that we took 2 or 3 minutes extra, but I think it was worth it. And I'll now pass it on back to Prakash. Thank you once again, Agile Network India, for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you, Amya, for the wonderful moderation of the session. Really appreciate all the efforts that you have put over this session. I would also like to thank all the panelists, Devangi, Deep, Harold, Shashi. You guys have been wonderful.